Afternoon, rather, everybody. My name is Brian Nichols. I'm the project manager with Maine Dept of Transportation, and I'm the project manager for the Chops Creek Bridge Replacement Project. I want to just apologize right off for the name. I've seen different variations of Chops, Chop, 1P, 2Ps. So this is an archaic or obsolete spelling. I apologize, but that's just
That's the right one.
That is, okay.
Yeah.
That's what's in our records, so if I wanted to clear that up, that we do know how to spell, we just don't know what we're spelling.
We just fix road, we don't spell.
So, yes, this is the Chops Creek Bridge, which is 128 over Chops Creek, just south of Chops Point Road. It's currently a 6-foot diameter corrugated metal pipe. Has been invert lined about 15 years ago now, but it's starting to show its age. It's also because of the stream that it's in, it's quite a constriction, so it's also a barrier to fish passage as well. So because of that, it's been given a FHWA, Federal Highway Administration grant for aquatic organism passage. So we're going to jump on those funding opportunities as they come. So we are going to be replacing this with a box culvert. Some of these slides might look familiar. This was from our previous virtual public meeting that many of you might have seen. So I'm recycling some of the slides. At that point, we didn't know if we were doing a single cell concrete box culvert or a traditional span structure. We didn't know what our requirements were there. Since then, we have narrowed down to a box culvert, similar to what you see in the picture here. So what I'm coming to talk to you tonight really is about the maintenance of traffic. When we look at these projects for replacement, there's really 3 ways we can maintain traffic. We can put temporary bridge in. You've seen those, the one recently down at Station 46 there. Unfortunately, the site constraints here are such that a temporary bridge would be extremely costly, especially for the size of the project that we're dealing with. And the site constraints, not just monetary costs, but also in terms of property impacts and wetland impacts as well. So it's not really favorable for a temporary bridge. Stage construction, which is another one we look at, where you've seen those before too, where we kind of cut it down the center, keep one lane of traffic alternating with temporary signals, place half and then switch and then do the other half. Some of these culverts are really not conducive to stage construction either. It's like I use the sweater analogy. As long as you leave them alone, they're fine. You start pulling out a thread, pretty soon you're left with a ball of yarn and no sweater. A lot of these culverts are really no different. And we don't know, soil conditions, a lot of marine clays, things like that. A lot of things are really fighting against doing a stage construction here. So really the best alternative that we have, and I know it's probably not everybody else's favorite here, but we are looking to close the road for 45 days, detouring traffic around on area roads. Residents, you're familiar with it, but I just had it up here for a visualization. Have kind of the map tipped a little bit here, north's off to the right. You see the project location there toward the upper part of the screen. We'll be looking to detour traffic, down 127, or across Indian Road, down 127, back onto, continue on 127 there. Really, the one this is going to affect the most are the locals. If you start measuring distances for through traffic, it's really not a whole lot of difference. You're not going to inconvenience people driving from Dresden down to Woolwich too much. It's going to be maybe a few miles, few minutes extra. The ones that really going to affect are the locals. So what we look at, kind of 2 things we look at for detour routes is the abutment to abutment length. If you're on one side of the bridge, you have to drive all the way around to the other side of the bridge. And that's really kind of the worst case, and that's really kind of one that's most indicative of how it affects the locals. And here we're looking at abutment to abutment detour. If we use all state routes, 16.9 miles or 24 minutes. That's a pretty good haul. However, we do have Chops Cross Road here, which is local road, which we couldn't post that as the detour without the town's permission. That's your road to do as you wish. We're not going to impose our will upon you there. Pardon? I have a question? Okay. So, but because that would be available for locals to use, and that would be 10.2 miles if you're going abutment to abutment, or additional 15 minutes. If the town wanted, we could use that as the detour route, post that as the detour route, or we could post the state route as the detour route. And local areas, residents would just know they have that available to them and find their own way around. Now, we did do a little bit of outreach before, talked to Chief Merrill on the phone, got his perspective, talked to the Mr. Shaw, the road commissioner, talked to the school district, not the school district, but first student of the transportation providers for the school district. So I talked to one of their representatives as well, kind of got their perspective. And really what I'm hearing from everybody, and I don't want to put words in anybody else's mouth, feel free to correct me if I'm not, Chief Merrill, if I'm not, this is going to be an inconvenience, but it's something that can be worked around. Especially with the school district. I reached out to this Chops Point School as well. Feeling we get from them is if we can avoid the closure lapsing into the actual school year, again, it'd be an inconvenience, but it wouldn't be the end of the world.
Can you update us on that schedule? When would the closure be?
Well, closure we'll be looking at, in this stream, we'll be looking at kind of a normal, what's called in-stream work window. What we do for closures is really depend on when the regulations allow us to get into the stream. So the closure of this would be a summertime closure, probably the old standard road closure, in-stream work window was like July 15th to November 30th. We have a little bit of flexibility with that now. Our DOT's working relationship with the regulatory agencies such that we've built some trust with them, and we have biologists who can kind of monitor things, and so they've given us a little bit more wider latitude with the road closures, but we're looking June to October is really what we're looking for, but I think with 45 days we could write the contract such that whenever that work window starts, we can write the contract so that 45-day window starts then and goes through whatever the June 1st to mid-August, I think, that if I'm doing the math right. And what we do with those is we actually write supplemental liquidated damages into the contract. They have those 45 days, and once they start that closure, that 45-day clock starts ticking, and at the end of that, if that road is not open to traffic the way you specified, we start docking them $1,000 a day or whatever. We write into the contract. Usually $1,000 is. So the contractor is pretty well incentivized to, or disincentivized to not go over that 45 days. And honestly, unless they run into something, they're driven to get in and get out. They're not making money by making it last longer than they need to. So between just the natural motivation of the contractor to get in and get out, plus these supplemental liquidated damages we put in the contract, one moment, we can pretty well enforce that 45-day closure. Sir?
Is there any financial incentives for the contractor to do it less than 45 days?
We can do incentivize an earlier completion. That's something we can look at. When I was first looking at that, I was talking with my designer, and we were kicking around 30 or 45 days. Some of the more straightforward projects were more comfortable telling them to be in and out in 30 days. This one's a little more complex given the site conditions. I think we could probably tell them the 45 days and incentivize them to do it quicker than that. But I don't think we're probably not going to shorten it to like 30 days like we would like this in a more straightforward project.
So what's the time frame now? It won't be in 26.
No. Sorry, I'll get on. Yeah. So right now, we had our preliminary public meeting in March of this year. Wow, time flies. Where did the summer go? We're looking at finishing our preliminary design report in October. Preliminary design report is the first phase of a project when we're looking at all the different alternatives. Preliminary design report is completion of that phase of design where we publish our findings, say this is what the alternative we're proposing. And then that moves us into final design where we actually do plan, specifications, estimate, all that. And we would look to advertise this bidding probably first quarter of 2027, so it'd be a summer 2027 project.
So what is the budget cost of this? Is the funding firm? I mean, is funding secured for this?
Yes.
It is. Okay, so this will happen.
Yes, because this was a federal grant. I know there's been some upheaval in the federal grant money coming in, but because this was part of a larger bundle of what we call AOP, the Aquatic Organism Passage Grant, ones we'd already started projects on in other areas. We've already committed the funds for this grant, so that funding is secure. And it's we need to supplement it above what the grant funds are. We're committed to supplement that as well. So there's no, we all state federal funds, no local funds for this.
More questions. Are you familiar with the planned culvert replacement on 127? The one that will happen in the gully north of Old State? Are you familiar with that one?
I don't know whether, I'm not familiar with it, but I'm familiar there is a project there.
Yeah. Okay.
So we will
time accordingly.
Time these accordingly so that they're not gonna.
Yeah. And what was the budget for this?
9 million.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. Pardon, what's that?
It was 8 something, I think that's.
800, was that in my earlier slide?
Yeah, it's earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
8.9 something.
Well, that said it was part of that grant, but I wasn't sure if that was the actual cost.
Okay, yeah, the 8.9 is part of the
That's
larger
fine.
one. Yeah, this one, I'm gonna say it's gonna be in the 1.5, 1.7 million for this one. Yeah, for total design and engineering, probably around 1 million, 1.2 for construction. Yeah.
So actually, I have a question for people who live on Chop Suey. Like, you're from the camp, right?
Camp school.
Yeah. So what does this do? What's your population for?
Right now, for school, we're seeing, we have about 130 people down there a day, ballpark. And then the summer population is similar, except we're not traveling in and out. Like
It's an overnight camp, right? Yeah.
From us as an organizational standpoint, the summer is the best fit. It won't be convenient, but at the same point,
Yeah.
you guys were having to inject concrete into it last week, so we know it's on borrowed time. But that would be the bigger thing. And then the other thing, which I've already talked to someone on the Woolwich fire about, of the bigger concern for us, which probably isn't the state involved, but Lincoln County then becomes by far the closer emergency response to us.
Right.
And because the county line is another mile up the road,
Yeah.
mile and a half up the road,
Yeah.
and so that would be my bigger concern of is there provisions of who's responding, because Woolwich will take significantly longer in terms of fire or even police for those of us that live, especially down the road. Yeah.
So have you reached out to Lincoln
I
County?
talked to, I know Lonnie on the fire department. Just had a brief conversation,
Okay.
and I know that there has been, I don't want to speak for you guys, but there has been conversations between you and Dresden about this, I assume. Yeah. So.
But Dresden doesn't have an ambulance.
No, so, I'll just give my 2 cents on it. So, there's roughly 30 residences, not including the school, on that side of the road. Putting population right around 100 to 120 plus whatever they have at the school, whether that's in session. What's your
So
school?
summer population, floats somewhere around 120, but that's 24/7
Right.
the entire summer. School population is just in and out between, let's say, 7:45 and 3 o'clock daily, and then we just have the few residents, people down there at that point.
So my biggest concern with the closure for 45 days, obviously, is response concerns with that, with 30 residences, plus in the school itself. It's still going to be Woolwich Fire and EMS that responds to that call. We may intend on having Dresden assist us, but would be willing to bet that we'll still be there first. Dresden is really struggling with their
Even
responses.
with that?
Dresden is struggling. We go to Dresden for a lot of calls to assist them, so it'll still be us, but that makes it, that's gonna add at least 10 minutes to a response, to go around. We'll do the best we can with what we have, but, that is my biggest concern is the closure, is the length of time it takes and the residences are on that side of the brook. Later in the summer, I'd be happy to see, but I'd also be happy to not see that interfere with school, the school session. With school, you got children that, God forbid, if a child gets injured up there. If and when that ever happens, we'll probably get life flight in there before we even get out of the station here.
Yeah.
Just because of the time frame.
Why is later in the summer better than earlier?
So earlier in the summer, the fire danger is going to be higher. I'm
Gotcha.
thinking on the brush fire season. Knock on wood, this year, it's been a dry season. If we have a wetter season that year, that'll help us in that aspect. But later in the summer, typically things tend to kind of mellow out. Things
Gotcha.
are greener and not quite as high a fire danger.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, those are my concerns. Is the response aspect of it.
Do you think it might be benefit if we start counting at a week so from Memorial Day and then count back from there the 45 days and make that the start time? Is there? I say Memorial Day, not Labor Day. Would there be benefit in that kind of?
When did you say the earliest you could start is July 15th? What you said?
Probably right around July. They
Yeah.
might be able to get in there they might be able to get in there a little earlier, but
Yeah.
I can safely say that there'd be a lot of getting there.
If you get started in mid-July and work right through July and into the next month, I think.
Okay.
I think
That might
the
be the
other
best.
trick that you'll have is if you get into the school year, it's not only us, but it's also
RSU1 and yeah.
RSU1. If there's any pickup that's on that side, that's
Yeah.
that's a long trip around, and there's a responsibility of picking up.
Yeah,
those
and I did talk to first student, and they kind of said the same thing you did. I think there was a little bit of flexibility there that if it, went, a week or two into the school year, that they would probably be okay-ish with it. They wouldn't want to go long-term, but obviously I think we'd try to get done, before the school year started.
I would rather see that first available day, just because of projects. I don't know what makes this project different than the one that was done by Knight's Farm a couple of years ago. Was that a 9-month closure that happened on that?
Oh, the one at the bottom by Brock's Brook.
Yeah. That was a
Yeah.
I love 45 days. I was originally envisioning that other one that was on 128 a couple of years ago that was just forever.
Okay.
But it was a little more convenient in that you could go across chops
Okay.
and that way.
And I can't speak to that. I'm not familiar with that other project, why that would take longer, if it was a different sort of structure, or if there was other type of conditions that was complicating it. But we can, can't obviously guarantee they can dig in there and find anything, but we regularly do projects like this in 45 days.
So I have another question. Well, actually, I was going to ask Joel.
Yeah, I think from a law enforcement response, it's still going to be, you got to understand, Dresden is at a location that is serviced by the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office, but they're generally coming through Wiscasset.
Yeah.
We're still going to be there. Matter of fact, we use 128 often as we come across.
From Dresden.
Dresden.
From Richmond, yeah.
to Dresden.
Yeah.
So, it's not a matter of us going up and getting that way. Generally speaking, we will have units that come down
Okay.
from Richmond, which would service that stretch between the school and the Indian Road.
Okay.
So I wouldn't much worry about that. I agree with Bill if we had if you could incentivize that and shorten that 45-day window as much as possible, that would service
Okay.
all of us.
Good.
I think
Definitely.
speaking with the fire department, get away from the Labor Day weekend. I know you want to stay away from the 4th of July, stay away from Labor Day. So if you can squeeze it in between there,
Okay.
you'd be better off.
I will definitely go back, talk to the program management about adding incentivization to it. We do that
You don't know who you'll get.
We do that fairly often, so I don't think that I think that'll be a problem, but I'm not the one who can actually guarantee that, but I'll certainly ask a question. Sir?
Hi, I'm Jack Shaw.
Oh, yes, we talked to the phone, please.
I strongly urge and recommend that we do the closure, and we all work together to make it the best we can to go around. My question to you is, will the state help us with our town roads where they're going to use, like the Short Crossroad, with perhaps signage, so on, to help slow traffic and so on?
We could probably add some signage to help slow traffic down. As far as like monetary help, if we're not using the road as our official detour, we don't do it, we don't help.
No, I mean, the signage would help us though.
Sure.
And, yeah, I believe that would be fine.
If we did use the town road as the detour, we would enter an agreement with the town, and part of that agreement is, representative from DOT, a representative from the town would travel the road together before the detour, kind of do it as, the original condition survey of the road. And then after the road opens back up, we do it again, and if there's any damage or stuff that resulted from the use of the detour, we would make right on that, so.
Where would that signage be? Would it be like bridge out close to local traffic on the turn going into Days Ferry? So like you're really just keeping the locals kind of going down and not the through traffic?
Yeah,
I know it's
the last
fairly big through traffic.
Yeah, probably at 127, 128. If we're using the state route, kind of 127, 128, you have sign, bridge closed, road closed, X miles ahead, local traffic only.
Okay.
And then signage at each intersection and any intersection between where there might be some confusion, keeping motorists going where we want them to go. Yeah. And then additional signage right at the bridge saying, road closed.
Can you go back to the map?
Sure.
Yeah, just because it's easier. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, if you're heading north, there's no benefit of.
Sean, if I could ask a question. Right now, Dresden relies on us a lot for both
Both fire
firefighting
and
and
EMS.
EMS. Could we station make sure we have a truck stationed at the North Station all the time?
We do, we
We
have
do.
to.
I know we do anytime, but I was wondering about maybe renting a bus for 45 days and putting an ambulance up there too.
Are they gonna have somebody to staff it? That's the problem. We'd have to have staffing for it. It's certainly an option, but we gotta have staffing to run the equipment.
But it's just, I mean, we can't rely on Lincoln Company to run an ambulance.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
It's gonna affect our response time a lot.
What's your load gonna be? Are you gonna have a load limit or?
For the new bridge,
Right.
really, essentially, any legal loads will be able to go over it. As a matter of fact, there's actually the technical term for it is called HL 93. It's actually if that truck were to go across the bridge, it'd be well above legal loads. But we design them for safety factor. Also, occasionally we're permitting larger than legal loads over different roadways and stuff as well. And it also allows for future deterioration for load ratings to drop down to legal load limits versus if we start at legal load limits and we get deterioration and we're immediately posting something 30, 40 years into the new structure. But yeah, this would be legal, all legal loads would be able to go over this. Yeah.
And so to follow up on that, you don't expect to post this down between now and construction?
I don't expect to post the current one down. They have, however, caught me by surprise before the past, but we haven't seen anything that's warrant immediate posting on this one. So yeah, thank you for your time. If there's no more questions, I do appreciate your time tonight. This afternoon, sorry, I keep going to these things in the evening. That surprises me when I'm at one in the afternoon. And if the town does have interest in using the local road as the detour route, we can certainly have that discussion as well in the future, and we can get that agreement started.
Keep traffic off. I think you can keep traffic off, as much traffic off the Chops Crossroad as possible.
Okay.
Because there's some places there that it's really narrow.
Okay.
I mean,
And very
two cars
windy.
can pass, but
And
it's,
windy, yeah.
I think it's pretty narrow.
So perhaps best to leave the state route as the detour, and everybody nearby, wink, wink, knows that top screw.
I would think the best thing to take away is incentivize the job, and then hopefully, I mean, is this an open bottom structure or a full precast structure?
It's gonna be precast structure.
But is it poured footings? I mean,
No.
No, so
No.
it would seem if you design it for the quickest installation, you might cut that back quite a bit. And
I
that
think,
would-
I think there's a chance we could cut it back. We also are in a climate where contractors aren't as hungry as they've been in years past, and, if we put too tight a restriction on them, it's gonna translate to higher bid prices, which translates to the general picture, less bridges we can do. So we're kind of trying to walk a fine line between, not putting too tight of constraints on the contractor so that we get reasonable bid prices, but at the same time not, putting undue inconvenience on the public either. It's kind of a fine line we're walking, and it changes, where that line is changes from day to day. But yeah, we can certainly incentivize that. I certainly go and ask, and that's usually not an issue. And so the nature of the construction of this is such that, with the exception of having to probably drive a sheet pile, cofferdam all the way around, and then starting the excavation, there's not a lot of cast in place activities that, need curing time and add time to the project. Anything else?
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. I'll leave I got some cards here I'll leave. If anybody wants them, you can take them. And, where's the place to set these?
You can leave, yeah.
Right here? Okay.
Yeah.
Probably don't need to leave that.